Christopher Mills from Oliver FM. The total amount of cost for the maintenance and servicing of the building is the same. The only thing you're changing is the allocation of that fund income.
Provided the survey was done correctly and the JOPD includes entitlements that accurately reflect that.
Well, that's
so
another
yes.
issue about
Yes.
area measurements.
Correct.
Because there are a number of different methodologies in use in this town. And so we've got a RIC standard, which is carpeted area, or net internal area, or net sales area. But NSA is not exactly carpeted area. So it really depends on your area. But in the end, you're paying the same amount of money on a total per building basis rather than an apartment basis. And one of the things that is an issue is that if you're paying your service fee on a square foot, you reduce the, there's no option for paying on a per unit basis.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're like if you're in a master community and you're in a villa,
Mm-hmm.
and you're all in the same plot sizes, but your houses are different, and so you're charging, maybe you'd be built on a built-up area,
Mm-hmm.
but shouldn't you be paying the same amount of money on a plot size or a per unit basis rather than a per square foot basis?
So what you're recommending is that if they've included the balconies and parking, that's the right way to go about doing it?
Or I think what I'm trying to say is that the service charge should be appropriate for the development.
Yeah.
And it should be, you should have enough flexibility in any legislation or regulations to allow the owner and the owners association to appropriately apportion the charges that will be correct for that community.
Excellent.
Look, I understand some international practice takes into consideration area and value, and I think that would take into consideration those gated communities where you might happen to be on a cul-de-sac where you've got a very large land area but have the same villa as the person next door. If you had a combination of value, that would be a much more equitable way of doing it.
Well, some allocations take into account the height of your apartment. So if you're in the penthouse, you pay more than the guy who lives on the ground floor. But that's not it's not here. It's not being taken account for. So you might have a really high-rise building with amazing views, but the guy in the penthouse is paying the same amount of money as the guy on the ground floor, and the guy on the ground floor doesn't use the lifts. So is that appropriate?
Yep. Tim Crow from Kingfield Owners Association Management Services. I would recommend that this minimum service level agreement is implemented, but you distinguish it carefully from recommended service levels, because obviously different buildings have different requirements, and different unit owners have different levels of services that they require. But at least if you have a minimum level, it does raise it up to a standard above that which the watchman at the door might control. And I think if we can distribute these to owners' associations, they can at least see what is the minimum that they should expect within the lowest common denominator.
Right. No, it is going to be a recommended service level. I mean, the report also, which we are submitting to RERA, is going to be it's a research report with a lot of recommendations, if you would see. And that's how it's going to be projected in the market as well. So we also have to put this in here, that this is not a static document. This is a dynamic document which is going to be evolving every year with lots of inputs like this, and the way the market is learning to store data the way it's required. So this is going to change along the process as OA gets more evolved and transition in the market like this. So I would say let's give it some time before we take a verdict like this. Last question, please. Yeah.
Chris Mills from Oliver FM. Are you going to address, if you're working closely with Rewa, are you going to address the double billing with the service fees and the housing fee that people are currently paying?
Housing fee and service charge fee. Yeah,
you're paying twice for services.
Yeah, I think.
Not in my report, it wasn't, but I understand the question. I think that's wider. That's the Dubai municipality to Dewa, owners versus tenants. I wouldn't want to get involved in that argument on MEFMA's point of view.
Yeah, I mean, I think so far, housing fee is not been in our scope of work so far, so we will keep it at this. All right, gentlemen, ladies, thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much to the group here. I can tell you the kind of work which they've been doing week after week. There's a lot of personal time has been put in place, so thank you so much for that. Thank you very much for your valuable questions. I can tell you the whole timing of this report has been planned in a way so that we get in inputs from you and then finalize the report. Lastly, again, this is not a constant report. This is going to be a dynamic report which is going to be done again along the process as part of MEFMA initiative. Okay, thanks a ton. Thanks for coming.